As we approach the late works of Beethoven, we find a special and unmistakable quality. It's a quality that can be found in the last works of many great artists. They seem to acquire a special character, as if they know they still have things to say and realize that they are approaching the end of the road and time is running out. This is especially true of Beethoven. It's not that he suddenly embarks on a new path unrelated to his previous output. On the contrary, it's a natural progression and a refinement of his powers. But his late music penetrates to regions of human consciousness that are so distant that I think we can only understand how he reached them by studying the progress from his earlier music. The fact that his music becomes so intensely spiritual doesn't mean that he loses his humor or his passion. It's enough to look at the first movement of his very last sonata for piano, Opus 111. It seems to have even more passion than its predecessors. Here's the opening. This aspect of Beethoven's nature was described very well by one of the greatest conductors of his music, Wilhelm Furtwängler. He said that the music was explosive, ecstatic almost to the limits of human experience, and yet it was not extravagant. I think this is a good description of Beethoven's high seriousness, but as I said before, he still keeps his humor. Listen to the finale of another very late work, the String Quartet, Opus 130. In fact, Beethoven's humor is a whole subject on its own. But the point I want to make is that although Beethoven's late works have this unmistakable quality about them, they are a logical development of his whole life's work. Of course, it's become almost a cliché to say that late Beethoven could not have been written without early Beethoven, but it's something we mustn't forget. If Beethoven had died 15 years earlier, in 1812, we would still think of him as having lived a very full and complete artistic life. So that although the late period is a natural development, it's not something that we could have foreseen. Only he could find the way. But what are the characteristics of this late period writing? There are several things. First of all, his music becomes more compact, and his famous use of contrasts, for instance, is heightened. He can go from one extreme to another without any kind of bridge between them. The most tender moment abruptly interrupted by a rough outburst. In this passage from Opus 111. But this increased intensity doesn't make his writing more complex. His themes were never very complicated, but in his late works, the simplicity which he always strove for becomes even greater, and at times almost popular or folky. The last movement of the C major cello sonata, Opus 102. Or for instance, in the C sharp minor string quartet, Opus 131.